Are you sitting comfortably?
Hello and welcome to East London Radio's Are You Sitting Comfortably? It's a movie review show where we talk about, well, movies and stuff. My name is Roo, and your name is?
Scott. Again, hello.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
You keep coming back.
I do.
Can't get rid of you.
I know. Terribly sorry. I've got a key now. I can let myself in.
I don't even have a key.
Oh.
We're talking about spies and spy movies today.
Yes.
Any ideas what our main feature's going to be?
Could it be, after that little musical sting there at the end of the introduction
What's that
music?
from?
What could that be from? I think that's Mission Impossible 5, Rogue Nation.
Yeah, that was L'Orchestra Cinematique with the music from the trailer for Mission Impossible 5, Rogue Nation.
Which was quite good.
Were we sitting
The music.
comfortably?
The music was quite good.
The music was good.
Not hugely comfortable. I kept shuffling round, which at one point...
I love the way we judge our enjoyment of movies based on how often we arrange our underpants.
Yes, and how numb my bum gets during a film.
Yes.
If I get a numb bum, it's a very bad film.
Pins and needles also for me is a bad sign,
Yes.
because it doesn't matter how many of these issues you experience while watching a good movie. They don't distract you. You can have pins and needles. You
power
can be
through.
Losing all the blood to your limbs.
Yeah, bits dropping off left, right, and
Yes.
centre.
And you're like, this is great. Yeah. I'm loving it.
I lost 3 fingers watching Grand Budapest Hotel. Didn't care at all.
Yeah, but Mission Impossible, I was very aware that I got pins and needles in my right arm. So yeah, but before we get before we get to Mission Impossible 5, the 5th one, wow, we'll be talking about Spectre, which is Bond 24, isn't it? The 24th Bond. So Mission Impossible
24th James Bond movie.
Yeah, MI has a bit of catching up to do in that respect.
Oh God.
We'll also be asking the question throughout the show: who said this?
$1 million.
Who said
$1 million.
Any ideas, Scott? It's a bit of an obvious one this week.
Was it my agent?
No, we're doing this for fun, for free.
Yeah,
$1 million.
That said, if someone does want to pay me to sit here and talk about movies, I'm more than happy to take that call.
Indeed.
Or anything else, to be honest. For £1 million, there's quite a few things that I do.
And on that note,
we're verging into my Grindr profile again, aren't we?
Let's get a bit of David Arnold going.
Which bit?
His musical talent.
Oh right.
With the name's Bond, James Bond, from the very end of Casino Royale, and then we'll chat about Spectre.
Okie dokie.
Scott, how do we feel about Spectre?
Ooh.
I'm very excited about it, and I don't even know who Spectre are. Now, I'm a big, huge James Bond fan.
How do you not know who Spectre are? I think those two sentences are probably mutually exclusive.
I am a James Bond fan. There's no
Right.
doubt about it. It's just that I grew up with Pierce Brosnan. He didn't live in my house.
Just popped round and gave you some pocket money and went off to...
We borrowed sugar occasionally from old Pierce
nice.
over the road. Spectre's too far back, really. And I do have every intention of watching all the other Bonds. But I quite like the fact that I'm being introduced to Spectre this way with Daniel Craig. The guy is something to do with Blofeld. Is that
Blofeld? Good
Blofeld.
Lord, how would you?
But he's not in this, is he?
No,
he's a different chap.
Yes, Blofeld. Oh Lord, did you never have a wet bank holiday afternoon where you were sat in watching the telly and all that was on were old James Bond films?
All ITV ever showed when I was younger was Pierce Brosnan. They never really went and did the new ones, and it was always interrupted by the 10 o'clock news as well. And I didn't have the patience for that. So,
but there was all the old ones. There was Doctor No, and
that's really old. That one.
That's the first one.
To be fair, I'd rather read the books.
Well, go ahead. You'll learn about Spectre and Blofeld. From
So Ian Fleming he did Spectre as well, did he?
Yes.
That wasn't an invention for the sake of the cinema.
No, I believe I believe Spectre was in the books. I haven't read that many. But essentially, Spectre is the network of evil that James Bond is fighting, essentially, and Blofeld was the guy kind of running it, kind of the Moriarty to Bond's Sherlock.
Yeah, the master to the Doctor.
Yes, that kind. Exactly. The peacekeepers to the people on that ship that I forgot.
You mean
the name of.
Scorpius to John Crichton in
Yeah, if
Farscape?
we want to do a Farscape reference.
I like the way
thought I'd
you
beat
tried
it.
to crowbar Farscape
yeah.
reference in there even before I did.
And I failed even worse than you usually do.
Excuse me. Yes. Sorry, you've got my mind in a Farscape
Oh,
mode now.
Lord. Come on back.
But actually, Christopher Nolan was going to direct. He was considered for directing this before Sam Mendes said, "No, me again, please."
I've got dibs.
I think Christopher Nolan would do a pretty nifty job with a reboot of Farscape.
Well, I think you've been sat thinking, you've probably got the whole story planned out, who you want to direct it, how each shot will go.
Look, if I become a millionaire, I'm going to fund a new series of Farscape. You know this. This is obvious.
Yeah, it kind of goes without saying.
Yeah.
But you'll want a part in it as well, I imagine. You'll be one
I'll
of those...
be Scorpius.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scorpius Jr.
Yeah, No.
No?
I'll just be the
All right.
new Scorpius.
With that weird
Unless, of
kind
course, Wayne Pygram's still knocking about because, quite frankly, he acted that the best. I can't imagine anybody else filling his shoes. Greatest science fiction villain ever made.
Shall we talk about spy movies?
We should probably talk about James Bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was all my fault, wasn't it? I apologise to everyone listening to this for dragging us off on a Farscape tangent.
Is Blofeld not the
Blofeld.
greatest spy movie villain ever made? Because he's referenced in every other spoofy spy movie. Austin Powers.
Dr. Evil is a direct, Blofeld.
But in all of them, if the Simpsons do a spoof, there's someone stroking a white cat.
Mr. Scorpion.
Yeah, all that.
Hank Scorpio. He's kind of... he is the kind of iconic Bond villain from the early days of Bond. The one that's kind of... Even if you don't know who he is, you know the template that all of the spoofs came out of, certainly. And I think he was a much better villain for me than the ones that we saw in Mission Impossible 5 this week. But we'll talk about that in a minute as well.
We will talk about that. What also excites me about Skyfall, it looks like they're taking helicopters quite seriously, unlike Terminator Genesis did, with its pirouetting helicopters.
Yeah, they were ballet helicopters.
Well, no, it wasn't even that graceful.
No.
They were all over the place. Do you fancy a bit of Adele?
I fancy all of Adele. She's lovely.
Well, I've got some Skyfall lined up.
All right, then.
Because that's a bit of fun. But who do you think out of Lana Del Rey, Sam Smith, Rihanna, or Ed Sheeran is going to do the new one?
I'd like it to be Rihanna, because I think that would be quite edgy and a bit mental.
Like Madonna doing Die Another Day.
Well, it'd be better than Madonna doing... I actually quite liked Die Another Day, which I know puts me in a very small minority.
But it was Carry On Bond, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Especially as she insisted in being in the film as well, which was hilarious.
Who was she in the film?
I don't think you've watched any James Bond films ever.
No, sorry. Who was Madonna in the movie?
You remember the sword fight scene?
Yeah.
She's the woman in the jodhpurs, the posh English woman.
In the jodhpurs?
She was wearing really tight kind of fighting
But he was fighting a man.
Yes, but before that, he was fighting and talking to a lady, who is Madonna.
You're going to have to go back and watch this.
I don't think you've seen any of these movies.
I didn't notice that at all.
Are you sure you watched the James Bond movies and you didn't accidentally switch over and watch half a dozen, I don't know, episodes of Farscape?
No. Probably would have remembered that.
Oh, all right then.
Okay.
But no, I think I'd like Rihanna to do it. I think if Sam Smith does it, then the first scene should be James Bond taking out his gun and shooting himself in the head, because Sam Smith is depressing.
I'm sorry.
I couldn't listen to that as the theme tune. It'd be awful. Mopey Sam Smith talking about how he's lonely and he's got no friends.
No, give Sam Smith a Shirley Bassey trumpet and he's in there. He's James Bonding it up.
Well, I would beat him over the head with the Shirley Bassey trumpet. I don't think he deserves it. Not to be in the same trumpet as Shirley Bassey.
Adele was always crying over her ex-boyfriends until Skyfall came along, wasn't she? Mostly, let's face it.
But at least she was entertaining with her crying over her ex-boyfriends. Whereas Sam Smith, it's just, oh, don't leave me.
Do you know, I think if anybody is on the receiving end of Shirley Bassey's trumpet, they sound a lot more excited than usual.
I think that would be true, yeah. I can't imagine anyone not being excited by Shirley Bassey's trumpet in the face.
And on that note, how about some Adele with Shirley Bassey's trumpets?
Oh, go, bring it. I'm ready.
Oh,
there we are. Good Lord.
Shirley Bassey's trumpety noises there, really.
I got a bit of a shiver on that, actually. That was quite nice.
That's the sound of James Bond, isn't it? But
well, that was Adele. But
what?
She'd make a great James Bond.
James Bond girl?
Yeah.
Why not get her in?
Yeah.
Why wasn't she sword-fighting James Bond in Skyfall then?
Well,
if Madonna had that privilege.
Well, it was a few years before. I think Adele would have been about 10 when Madonna was sword fighting with Pierce Brosnan.
But what was Skyfall all about? From memory, in 30 seconds.
Here we go.
So James Bond finds that people are hacking into computers and stuff and revealing information about secret agents. And one of these old-fashioned secret agent people want to find M and kill M. His name, I can't remember his name, but he had a problem with his teeth. Anyway,
Mr. Silver.
They get him in a glass box, which is a bad idea as usual because he managed to escape from the glass box and run about and blow up the tube. And eventually, he manages to find M, but James Bond saves the day just in the nick of time in Scotland. Oh my goodness.
Very well done. And pretty much accurate.
Yeah,
Yes.
it turned into Home Alone at one stage, didn't it?
Yeah, well, that was, it was, a snuff version of Home Alone. It's quite cool. But, I liked that they brought the old car back because it was the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, but it didn't make sense because the series was rebooted at Casino Royale.
Well.
Why would he have his old car from the old movies? That's not how it works. Otherwise, Judi Dench is kind of like living in two paradoxical, overlapping universes
it does
in which James Bond, two different ages, but she remains the same age.
Yeah, and it implies that James Bond, that Judi Dench dressed as a man and pretended to be a man for 40 odd years, as the original M, and then eventually could shed this skin and become the wonder that she is.
Well, that may be the case.
Maybe.
Who knows?
There's a whole trans storyline waiting to be told. Like they do, like the Star Wars. The games are kind of parallel to, but not the films. So it's like from a different perspective.
Ah, yes.
There could be a whole film about Judi Dench being a trans man, a trans woman.
00 Dench.
Ooh, that just sounds disgusting.
We're asking the question, who said this?
$1 million.
Now, if you know the answer, tweet us at ELR Comfortably and use the Facebook page, facebook.com rather, /ELR Comfortably.
$1 million.
You know who said that. Come on. Tweet us at ELR Comfortably, as I say. Any ideas, Scott?
My little finger is resting next to my lip. So, to play it again?
Oh, no, I've lost it now.
Well, never mind. $1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah, with your little finger there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a clue. Yeah. I think it's time to meet the IMF.
Oh.
Yeah, with Joe Kramer.
It's not the kitchen people, is it?
That's who are they?
That's
B&Q.
MFI.
MDF. No, I don't know. That's music there. That add a little something to that's music.
That's music, yeah.
No, I was going to say that's music there from a moment in which this happens. But I thought I rearranged my sentence just in the... Sorry for highlighting.
That's quite all right.
That's music from when a villain is on the screen, sort of thing.
He's a bad guy. It's bad guy music.
I like the way that tune by Joe Kramer was associated with Solomon Lane, the villain from Mission Impossible, who seemed lifted directly out of a James Bond movie. And speaking of James Bond villains, this new Blofeld, what's his name? What's the villain's name? Franz Oberhauser. Played by Christoph Waltz. I thought at first in the shadows in the trailer of Spectre, he looked a little bit like Rob Brydon. That would make a very different Spectre.
That would be an amazing. I would watch that.
I would, yeah, as well. Or Steve Coogan, one of the two.
It'd be awful if you killed Steve Coogan when Rob Brydon was the bad guy.
That's not going to happen.
No.
Only in our special James Bond spoof we may create one day for
why
YouTube. So you're going to give us now 30 seconds of crikey. What Rogue Nation is all about.
Right. Ethan Hunt is off doing a secret agency thing. The bad guy, for reasons, wants a file that's kept underwater because that's how you keep it safe. He manipulates Ethan Hunt into going and getting him the file, and then it turns out that the file can only be opened by the Prime Minister's voice. So then he manipulates him into getting the Prime Minister and opening it with his voice, and then Ethan Hunt turns around and goes, I thought of all these things. I win. There are some explosions.
Little important note there. There are a few.
Yeah,
just some. Yeah. Enough to keep you going.
Here and there.
Explosions.
And there's a lady, but she doesn't do a lot.
Okay, so we're going to delve into the explosions, the ladies that don't do a lot, the underwater
I'm not
saves,
delving into ladies.
And the Prime Minister of Great Britain. After 6 minutes of Joe Kramer and some, not Shirley Bassey trumpety music, but there's, I'd say, sort of, what would you say differentiates Mission Impossible music from James Bond? Is that...
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know. That's the kind of iconic bit, is that it's the bass line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because Oh, the Mission Impossible bass line is that dum dum
Dum,
dum
dum, dum.
Yeah.
So kind of a... What instrument is it? Kind
I
of a
don't
bongy,
know.
bangy, drummy kind of... No,
That's
Bourne.
exactly it.
Bourne used bongy,
Oh,
bangy drums.
They did. It's more of a bass guitar, I think.
Yes, that'll be the one. This is the A400, and it lasts 6
Which
minutes.
It sounds
Enjoy.
like a road. Is that a road?
I think it might have been a road. This was a chasey
You
moment.
wouldn't call it the M25.
No, that would be awful. Joe Kramer did well, not Michael Giacchino. As a few episodes ago, I said Michael Giacchino was doing Mission Impossible 5 on top of everything else. No wonder he's unable to do it. He's done so much already. Joe Kramer also did Jack Reacher with Tom Cruise.
Oh.
So it makes sense. Maybe they've all buddied up.
They're
and
all
sort of-
mates.
yeah.
They hang out down the pub between
Perhaps
movies.
Michael was like, "Hey, look, Joe, I've got a lot on. You know, I've got to do Inside Out tonight. I've got to do Star Wars tomorrow. I've got
Away
no
for the
time
weekend with the kids, you know.
I've got no time for Mission Impossible. Joe, you're gonna have to do it this
Yeah.
this time, mate. Sorry.
Oh well.
I like it though. As you will hear in a little while, we're going to play some Michael Giacchino from Mission Impossible 4. But Joe Kramer's is heavier, and Michael Giacchino's is sort of light and fluffy, and
Yeah.
you can faster, sort of running. But Joe Kramer's heavy, cars and things.
Yeah, I quite liked it. I really enjoyed the music. It was for Mission Impossible 5. It was good. It was chunky. You're right, heavier.
Chunky's the word.
Yeah. Thumping.
But what did we think of the movie?
I really liked the music.
The movie, Scott. The movie.
Yes, but I really liked the music.
Have you seen the others?
Not
the movie The Others.
Nicole Kidman. I have seen the others.
prequel to Mission Impossible
I
5.
have, however, not seen. I saw the first one, and
I've seen the first one and the fourth one. And the fourth one,
right.
which you haven't seen.
No.
Right. Well, the fourth one, magnificent team effort. Every character had sort of their moment to shine. They had a purpose. They had their own kind of miniature arc within the whole thing as well. Whereas this seemed a little too preoccupied with Ethan Hunt. And then it kind of became this weird movie where we were trying to figure out the motivations of the mystery lady, whose name is Ilse Faust by Rebecca Ferguson.
Ilse Faust.
He's Ilse Faust. Yes.
Yeah. Who is the pretty British lady?
Yeah, who
in this.
always seems to be switching, chopping, changing her mind,
Yes.
playing each side. You know.
I think the intention was that we weren't supposed to know if she was a good guy or a bad guy.
Yeah, but it made me not care in the end because I thought every scene she's in, she's doing something different to the last. Like she's
It did make her seem indecisive.
yes,
But yeah,
indecisive.
she was flipping and flopping from one side to the other, and you don't know
That's
if was she playing someone? Was she doing what she wanted?
I don't even believe that she had her own end game. I don't think she knew what she was doing. I think she was making it up as she went along.
Well,
pretty
much-
self-serving, which I
Much
suppose in
like
a
the
sense is
script
interesting.
writers, I suppose.
Sorry?
Much like the script writers in that respect.
Making it up as they went along.
Yeah.
But that's all any scriptwriter does.
So true.
But some are better at it than others.
Yes.
Um,
Probably not the people who wrote this one. There were some very weird script moments in
Go on.
there. There were things like, Ethan, if you go out there, then he'll get all the money. We can't let him have all the money. That's the last thing we must do. And then Ethan goes, "Don't worry, I won't let him take me alive." And that's not an answer to what he's saying. You've just said something that sounds brave, and now you're going to go and do something stupid.
and then he did Narnie and said he'll be back.
yeah. Which,
So-
it was, you know.
So either you're gonna die or you're gonna come back with the money. I don't know.
It was-
Yeah, it was a lot of info dumps. Now that's never a good idea in dialogue. Just dialogue purely to explain the plot to one another for the benefit of the viewer doesn't give us any extra characterization there to sink our teeth into. To actually make us care about the action, which in Mission Impossible
It's quite important.
is usually quite gratuitous anyway.
I found, for me, the rhythm of this movie went set piece, chase scene away from set piece, standing around talking to each other about what's just happened and what's about to happen.
But they didn't
and then
even
repeat.
understand.
They did that 3 or 4 times. Yeah,
They were
it
just
got a
figuring
bit. It got a bit weird, and I think
especially when they're explaining to one another what actually happened as opposed to what their cover story's going to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, which is which? We're like,
which
we're
I
getting
think was
lost in
supposed
this.
to be the kind of twist and reveal kind of thing that let us that we. That as the audience we go, oh right, so they meant to fuck that up, to cock that up. Sorry, Mum. I just swore.
I
a
like the
little
way
bit.
you replaced it with cock.
It's better, isn't it? Than dropping the F-bomb. Anyway, we meant to mess that up because it was really part of our plan all along. Oops. But yeah, there was some of Alec Baldwin's scenes. He looks confused and surprised, and I'm not sure whether that's him acting or whether he just doesn't know what's going on.
He thought he was doing 30 Rock.
Yeah, there were moments where I thought he was going to say "Good Lord, Lemon" or something like that. And
He had that face on, didn't
yeah,
he?
definitely.
I liked him. I think, as you said, from judging from the trailer, you thought he was going to be revealed to be the big bad guy, the real bad guy, behind even the
Or
bad guy.
either could be the super bad guy behind Ethan Lane. Ethan Lane? No,
Solomon Lane.
Solomon Lane. Or be
Lane.
yeah, there's something. And he's an ex-British agent, and the guy who was still a British agent, Chief Attlee, had a very kind of adenoid. He looked like he was a train spotter on the weekend.
Chief Attlee looked a bit like David Walliams in Little Britain when he's doing the whole yes sketch. What is that? His character name there when he's playing the flute.
Oh, I can't remember his character name, but it's the one with the "Have you any nuts?" Is it that one?
No, I don't know.
Chocolate cake. Have you any nuts? No.
Yes. Sorry, I was thinking Marjorie Dawes from Fat Fighters.
No.
And Attlee isn't anything like her.
No. Luckily, I think, thankfully, that would be a very strange movie. But yeah, I wonder whether they went down the kind of anti-Bond route, in that the attractive, interesting, young team, not that young anymore, bless him, are all American, and they're all the go-getters. And then the British ones are very kind of bureaucratic, unless they're pretty ladies, in which case it's their job to be in distress until the Americans swoop in and rescue them.
Yes, that's the other thing. There was a lovely lady in number 4 who I've forgotten the name of.
You make it sound like she's the lovely lady in number 4, just down the road.
Pierce Brosnan opposite, the lovely lady down the road. Anyway,
It's a busy street.
she explosions all the time. It's strange, can't explain it. She was in number 4. She was great. I don't know what happened to her, but from what I understand, they kind of changed the cast with each movie. And this is the first movie in which every member of IMF have been in a previous movie. They're a veteran from Mission Impossible 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
Benji, for instance, yes. Simon Pegg from the last one.
Who seems to be just playing himself now. Whatever he does at the moment seems to do this kind of...
He's the kooky geek.
I'm a bit geeky, and I'm a bit stressed, and you're making it worse, and eventually I'm going to go...
Yeah, that's all he ever ends up doing.
Yeah, which has been his bit since Spaced, and it's great. But I do kind of think, come along, Simon, we have seen you act. We know you can.
Well, yes, exactly. And the other thing is, these are real threatening situations. And I'm sorry, I don't care how goofy you are. You're not always going to be able to make a joke.
No.
Not if you're reversing full speed off of a cliff or a huge flight of steps in a car that ends up barrel rolling kind of frontwards and backwards, not sideways. That is... I don't know how he didn't die, to be honest.
Well, yeah, he did land on his neck at the end.
Yeah,
and then he just got up and carried on.
Carried on making jokes, yeah.
One of the things, actually...
I thought that might be a bit of a joke.
Excuse me, I'm terribly sorry.
People might think he died.
Well, yeah. Well, that was what I was going to come on to, actually. It was the big underwater set piece was very well filmed and blah, blah. But,
was it, though?
Well,
it looked a bit floaty.
It did a bit. The thing
you know what I mean?
when
most underwater stuff looks a bit too kind of fake.
Yeah, like they've...
glossy and floaty. And,
they put them on strings and then put the water in afterwards.
Exactly, that's it.
The thing that annoyed me the most about that was this whole, he's got 2 minutes underwater, and then he's 2 minutes underwater, and he's in there under 3 minutes, and he's like dying. It's like, any kind of peril is lost, because we've seen in the trailer that happens,
Benji
and
makes
then
the joke.
Benji goes, 2 minutes ago you were dead.
Yeah. So we didn't really give a monkey's.
And it's like, well, we know he's... And also, it's halfway through the movie. I think if your main character drops dead halfway through a movie...
Well, James Bond died at the beginning of Skyfall, didn't he?
Well, he died at the beginning of You Only Live...
Did he?
Yes, he died at the beginning of You Only Live Twice as well.
I didn't know
because, well, it was a ruse.
Well, the title blooming well gives you that idea anyway.
And, if he dies before the opening credits of a Bond movie, you're fairly certain he's going to... That would be a very short... It's more of an advert.
Well, what I didn't understand about this whole underwater scene is that he needed his oxygen written in big numbers as a percentage on his sleeve. We don't need to... We know that you can't really go that long underwater without
hold my
breathing.
Breath. As I always do when there's an underwater scene, I tried to hold my breath for as long as the characters had to. I nearly died watching Finding Nemo, but that's another story. And yeah,
Very good.
I know, right? I managed about 2 minutes, but they kept doing that kind of with him for 30 seconds, and then
with her, and you don't know if these are happening simultaneously,
yeah.
but we're being shown them apart,
Yeah.
or if he's actually under there.
And it was, and if you're going to have a ticking clock, stick to a ticking clock.
Yes.
Cut between the two people. But
if you didn't have that written on his sleeve, there wouldn't be such a necessity to have us count.
Exactly.
So that we don't want to play that game. It's a bit like on Saw, whenever they're in a trap for 10 seconds and it lasts about 15 minutes.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, and all of that, and yeah, I just.
With that underwater scene, though, there was a lack of music. The same with the car chase later on. Joe Kramer's done a fantastic job, but his music wasn't put where you would expect it. These two big action pieces just didn't have any music at all.
I was wondering with the car scene whether that was a stipulation by whoever provided the cars. Who was it?
Yeah, we don't want a distraction.
Yeah, we're giving you sexy cars
BMW.
with meaty engine noises, so make sure that all you can hear is...
And then as soon as anybody's walking about talking into their earpieces for about half an hour, you got Joe Kramer doing his
It's
stuff.
a good job they didn't have Hans Zimmer. We would not have had a clue what was going on. They'd have had to
fallen
shout.
asleep on the organ.
But one of the things, for mentioning the car chase, it's well done, and they do the whole kind of loud engine noises and lots of crash cuts between the people so that it looks really frantic. But if you watch when they're inside the car and they're watching and they're going down these tight streets in Morocco, if you watch how fast the pedestrians go past the window, they're not going very fast at all. It was quite adorable to watch. They're going about
sound effects that make
the way it's edited and everything makes it look a lot. And the outside shots, they're going very fast. But then when you're inside the car and you see them going past these people sat at the tables, they're just kind of pootling along. It's very strange.
What about the narrow streets of Victorian London?
Oh yes, that was true. Yeah, the final third of the film is set in 1902 with fog and railings and wrought iron.
But if you're going to go to
lampposts.
London,
well, yes. I was surprised that as they were running down these streets shooting each other, no one accidentally shot a chimney sweep or a policeman with his whistle or something. It was
like in Minions, where you've got very British police.
Blimey! Yeah,
London's doing very well for the in the movies lately.
Yeah, well,
you've got Minions. The Muppets were there last time well, weren't they?
It's a nice place to make your movies of.
Yeah, well, we're going to stick around.
Yeah,
we like London.
Yeah.
You never see Tom Cruise running through Leytonstone, though, would you?
No. And it'd be fun if there was a chase scene through the streets of Shoreditch and there's just lots of hipsters scattering left and right.
Up Brick Lane, where they're asked every step, would you like dinner?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And lots of tourists wandering around trying to take pictures.
We're going to play some more Joe Kramer later, but right now, let's rewind to Ghost Protocol when Michael Giacchino was at the helm. We can't go through an episode without some Giacchino in. This is Out for a Run. Up Brick Lane, if you like. Use that for your imagination. Unclench those buttocks, Scott.
All right, then.
Now, don't you think that... I think Michael Giacchino did a better job with Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol than he did with Jurassic World. Don't you think that in Jurassic World we could have done with that much peril in the soundtrack? You're talking dinosaurs, for crying out loud. We need to be terrified, petrified.
Big, massive lizards stomping around the place, eating people. Yes.
Yes, we needed that kind of stress.
And not... na.
How lovely.
Yeah,
look at them go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we are hurtling to the end of the show.
Headlong.
We've got a question to answer.
We have.
The question we're asking is, who said this?
$1 million.
And the answer, Scott, if you will, please.
Ooh, the answer is, it is indeed not Mr. He didn't spend 4 years at Evil Medical School to be called Mr. Evil. Dr.
We get
Evil.
the warhead and we hold the world ransom for $1 million.
Don't you think we should maybe ask for more than $1 million? $1 million isn't exactly a lot of money these days.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, then. We hold the world ransom for $100 billion.
Austin Powers, apparently number 4, is in the works.
I know. I hope it's a good... I
don't think it will be.
Gold member left me cold. It wasn't, which sounds an odd statement. You'd think he'd warm it up first.
Which is why I think the break is good, and maybe we'll get a really good one. But, it's the 4. Look at Indiana Jones 4. Look at all the 4s.
Indiana Jones 4 never happened. I don't know what you're talking about.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's gone to the space between spaces. Anyway, Ethan Hunt or James Bond? Who's going to steal it this year in terms of spies?
I really hope it's James Bond. If Ethan Hunt is the best spy movie we have this year, well, there's The Man from U.N.C.L.E. as well. But of the two,
actually, yes, that's true.
If Mission Impossible 5 is better than Spectre, I will be very disappointed.
Do you think Kingsman's a contender as well for most memorable spy movie?
I liked Kingsman, and it's very memorable, especially that fight scene in the church. And for some reason, the Swedish princess who once been done at the wrong end. But I think it's different. It's not a franchise. It's not.
Oh no, but it might be this time
Lord,
next year.
That's true. Well, I'm not against Eggsy getting his top off a bit more.
Good Lord, no, neither am I.
Lovely. Anyway.
Keep that image in your mind while listening to Joe Kramer's finale and curtain call.
Right.
This is Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. This is Are You Sitting Comfortably? I've had fun of you.
Yes.
You can tweet us at ELR Comfortably.
I do.
While we're gone.
Oh,
and
you're
we'll
talking about everyone else. All right.
Next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Join us next week for another thrilling episode of Are You Sitting Comfortably?